With many more of us required to take our musical production work with us on the go, we thought it was about time we had a look at the top 5 best laptops for music production in 2020. In this technological age, music production is increasingly becoming an accessible option for many of us musically inclined folk. Even if you've never seen one, you're probably aware of the XPS 13's claim to design fame, the Infinity Edge display that pioneered today's trend toward ultra-thin screen bezels, letting Dell squeeze a 13.3-inch laptop into a frame smaller than 12.5-inch models like the Lenovo ThinkPad X270 and barely bigger than the late 11.6-inch MacBook Air. The Dell's claim to design infamy is that the top bezel has no room for a webcam, leaving the latter awkwardly placed below the bottom left corner of the display for a looming, unflattering image of your nose and chin. While the 2.7-pound system is no burden in a briefcase, we can't say the same for the couple of books you'll want to carry to stack beneath it for Skype conferences. The laptop is crafted from machined aluminum with a soft-touch carbon fiber composite keyboard deck and palm rest. On its right side are a USB 3.0 port capable of charging handheld devices, an SD card slot, and a Noble lock slot. There's another USB 3.0 port on the left edge, along with a Thunderbolt 3 port with USB-C and DisplayPort functionality, an audio jack, a battery gauge button and row of LEDs, and the AC adapter connector. The Samsung Notebook 9 Pro builds upon the tech behemoth's modern laptop design in a way that's more uniform and closer to how it constructs smartphones. This results in a curvier laptop than ever, in both the lid and keyboard deck, with an outward silver sheen bedecked by a carbon-colored metal on the interior. The Samsung Notebook 9 Pro keyboard deck is both spacious and comfy, with a ton of room for the enormous trackpad. In spite of the size, Samsung opted for more spacing between the well-backlit keys over a numeric keyboard. Instead, extra space is given to page control keys as well as arrow keys. Meanwhile, the speakers are relegated to beneath the base. You'll find plenty of punch in those rounded keys, and the slightest curve to their surface. Samsung managed to achieve delightfully thin bezels on the display's sides, squeezing a 15-inch diagonal screen within a 13.67-inch wide frame. Likewise, the laptop measures just 1.7 centimeters thin and weighs 1.7 kilograms. The screen is as color-rich as any of Samsung's smartphone displays, making the absolute most of its comparatively just satisfactory resolution of 1080p. Samsung also calls this a real view display, able to shine at 350 nits brightness in normal mode and up to 450 nits in outdoor mode. This makes it easier to see your work or play in the sunlight, though it's still a glossy panel, making glare an inherent annoyance. That said, games and video look brilliant on the display, as do doodles in the Samsung Air Command app. MSI doesn't go very drastic with their design and ensures to keep it basic yet chic and sleek for easy portability and functioning. The MSI GF63 Thin 9SC066 is not much different than its precursor of the MSI GS65 Stealth Thin. The best prospect of the design and build of this gaming laptop is the fact that it has a very thin body which looks amazing and is quite easy to carry around. Apart from this basic feature of being 21.7 mm in thickness, the other feature that stands out is the brushed aluminum front cover. You wouldn't believe, but this beast is just 1.86 kilograms in weight, which is pretty impressive for the kind of powerhouse it actually is. Lightweight and thin, it also has a 82% screen-to-body ratio, which further makes it a favorable option to get that immersive gaming experience. The lining with the thin bezels also doesn't cram up the space, and the designers have been able to fit a 15.6 display in a 14-inch frame, which is nothing short of amazing. The one thing about the design and build of the MSI GF63 Thin 9SC066 that sets it apart from its sisters is the fact that it has a typical gamer black paired with a red trim color scheme for that world-class experience even in the darkest of rooms. It doesn't have any kind of excess copper-toned metal around the heat vents and is rather protected with a thin plastic sheath to keep out the bare sinks of the heat. Both the lid of the laptop along with the keyboard deck is made out of metal, predominantly aluminum, which extrudes sturdiness and durability altogether. No matter from which direction you approach the SCAR 3, it's not subtle. A strip of RGB lighting illuminates the front and side edges of the machine, and a large ROG logo glows on the lid. The keyboard features per-key RGB lighting that can be customized for individual games. Even with the lights off, the Strix SCAR 3 gives off a gaming vibe with its various textured and patterned surfaces and angled cutouts. The thin metal lid has a brushed aluminum texture that moves in one direction over 2/3 of the surface and in a different direction over the remaining third. Likewise, the plastic keyboard deck features a checkered pattern, with 2/3 of its surface a dark gray and the other third a contrasting lighter hue. Along the right edge sits a unique slot for what Asus calls a keystone, a physical NFC key to which you can save game-specific profiles and other settings that you can take with you. The keystone also unlocks the shadow drive, which sounds way cooler than it is. The shadow drive is a password-protected area of the hard drive that unlocks when you insert the keystone, and after you sign up for an Asus account. The idea of a hardware key protecting your most valuable local data in the vein of a physical lock has some merit, the game profile portability aspect, less so. Considering that you probably keep game profiles on your mouse if you hop from one system to another with any frequency, the keystone feels gimmicky at best. The standout feature of the Flip S is the hinge that brilliantly turns it from a standard laptop to a tablet, with various stages of usefulness in between. This hinge keeps the screen and keyboard tightly connected, while producing clean lines at any point in its rotation. It's beautiful to hold, in any of its orientations, but particularly as a tablet, where you can cradle it easily in one hand while tapping away with the other. At 2.42 pounds it's certainly light enough, and the inclusion of a slip case means that you can pop its svelte 13.3-inch form into any bag easily. Even the power brick is small enough to take along with you without much hassle. Asus claims that the ZenBook Flip S is the world's thinnest convertible, and at just 0.43 inches it certainly appears to be. There is a slight downside in the fact that there isn't much room for ports, with only a pair of USB 3.1 Type-C slots present. There is a volume rocker on the side, next to the power button, which is useful when you're using it in tablet mode. The other edge component of note is the fingerprint sensor, which is tiny, but works well.